Welcome on in. It's the Real Kyper and Bourne Show, Leaf Edition Hour. We are live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 360, and Sportsnet Plus. Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jake the Snake Schultz. I just said prior to going on air, boys, did a 10 o'clock game with the Toronto Maple Leafs and Utah Hockey Club. You're going to have to carry me in the next 2 hours because this old guy is tired.
Hey, you know what you didn't need? A 3 hour and 10-minute match. It was done at 1:10, 10 o'clock puck drop.
But it was like watching a Jays game where you're like, it's only the sixth inning.
What was the 40-minute inning? Was that before the bat flip?
Yeah.
Yeah. That felt like that whole game was the bat flip inning.
Wow. And what looked like, and don't want to quote you, but you thought this was going to be a game, and you were looking good. I got to be honest with you. You were looking good with your pre-game announcement to myself, Elliot, David Amber, that it was going to be one of those comfortable games for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't know what. Did you throw out a score?
I did. I can tell you the phrase. Yep, I can tell you the phrase and the number. The phrase was they're going to put the boots to them, and the score was 5-1.
5-1.
Yeah, at 3-0.
Looking really good.
Looking great.
Feeling awesome.
But you know who else is feeling awesome? The Leafs. They're like, this is a 5-1 walk. Watch this.
Yeah.
Who gets the next points, boys?
Yeah.
And then everyone stopped playing defense.
We just came to the conclusion that it was just one of those games where just, boys, get on the bus, get on the plane as fast as you can, and just let's go home.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how often you guys did video when you played. Now, typically, I think they do it every game. Maybe twice a year. They're like, we're not even going to. That didn't even happen. You know, we got the
2
points.
points in
Nothing good happened. No one did anything.
But there's a lot of that happening in the last 4 weeks.
A lot of don't look at it. Games.
Just take the 2 points and move on.
Yeah.
And that's what happened last night.
And how do we feel about that as a long-term strategy and plan for the Maplers here? Little concerning that there seems to be, and let's just say it, guys, there's a lot of games. They don't really outplay anyone right now.
When's the last time they outplayed somebody?
When's the last time you look at the possession time or expected goals or the score and go, God, they just rolled them. They don't really roll anyone.
Yeah, if they were in a department store, we'd hear cleanup in aisle 5.
There's some cleanup to be
Yes.
done. Now, to be clear, it's the same players who have shown us in the past they can roll guys. It's a very good decor missing Chris Tanev that hasn't looked very good. There's a lot of reasons to believe they can be better than they've looked, but they have looked less than the sum of what we believe their parts are.
Like usual, our producer, Sammy McKee, does an amazing job collecting Kyper's clippers, which, by the way,
What?
A real Kyper and Bourne record was set earlier this week.
You mean yesterday?
Yes.
Goose egg, baby.
No, not one Kyper clipper in the hour.
And we had 7 or 8 to play.
Can I just quickly go back to yesterday? We don't need to rehash anything because we're in a good place. But I will say the amount of messages I got from people and the interaction on what we were talking about, it feels like it was a very good topic because there's the equal amount of people that think we're both idiots. So
That's how you know
the
it's a win.
perfect sports radio topic, and I really enjoyed that yesterday. And it seems that other people did too.
Well, I think what we try to do is see different angles, different sides. When it's all said and done, the viewer, the listener, they can decide how they feel, but I think our job is just to present different things that they may not think about or they haven't considered yet. And there's no right and wrong in all of this. When it comes to Mitch Marner, it's just wherever you feel you are on looking at something objectively.
Yeah. I was saying to Dan Tavares for our show, just talking about yesterday, and I said, I think there's 3 or 4 shows over our 4 years together where you go to break and you go, everyone good? We're all cool? And yesterday there was a no-brainer. Everyone cool, good.
Yeah.
Fully entertaining stuff, so I enjoyed it.
It was fun. I loved it.
Okay, so last night, let's go to Craig Berube for a Kyper's Clipper on his overview. Like, again, usual, Sammy, you collect these things. We don't listen to them. I have no idea.
We used to.
Well,
Before we go to Craig Berube on his overview, any guesses on?
Oh, that's fun.
Any guesses
Well,
on
we-
what
you said we
you
used-
can't play this.
we used to listen to the audio, but then trying to track down Kyper for 2 minutes pre-show, I was like,
Squirrel.
we're done with this. I'm never doing this again.
Okay.
Anyways,
I think he said, we found a way.
Oh, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to cancel this clip then.
If it's a found a way,
I'd like him to say,
no good.
no good. Lucky we got the 2 points. We got to clean this thing up. That's what I'm hoping to hear.
Important things. At the end of the day, we got the points.
Okay,
That's what
let's
he
have a
said.
listen.
Well, we got off to a great start. Our first period was really good. Made a couple mistakes in the second and then penalty trouble a little bit. I don't like the calls, to be honest with you. Put us down 5-on-3 from a pushing match in front of the net, but it is what it is. And right now we're fighting through some adversity, and guys came through in the third, did a good job. Ended up winning in the shootout.
Closer to what I said than what you said. Right?
Yes.
Did some good things.
I thought it stood a chance for me to like it when he started off with, whoa.
Yeah.
he starts off all his overviews like that, where he's about to be like, we suck. But then he catches himself and then guards. He's been doing that a lot recently with these overviews.
Yeah, I can appreciate the deflection.
Crummy call.
The crummy calls, he's not wrong. We know that. But that's the least of your worries right now, or your
Good
concerns.
first as well. Was true. This is the third time in 4 games they've blown a multi-goal lead, but they're getting out to a multi-goal lead, which is something.
But the bigger picture is, why are we blowing leads? Why can't we shut teams down? Why can't we complete 60 minutes of hockey?
Well, part of it last night to me was on the defense. I thought the defense could break the puck out, couldn't make a pass. Guys getting in behind him. But the pairs got shuffled after Benoit Superman punched a guy and had to relocate his thumb. Do we want to talk about that, or should we just talk about hockey first?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
We can.
Okay,
get
so
into that.
I thought the D were
Yeah.
on the hook, but let's focus on that first.
Well, just okay. And one of the conversations we had on the desk, I don't even remember if it was on air or off because it was 10 o'clock past my bedtime.
A little loopy.
But it was it necessary? You're up 3-0, and did this have anything to do with taking away the focus and the energy, and did that play a part? And I said no.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure.
That was on air.
How did you feel?
I'm with you that like if he felt cause to fight Kesselring, like he didn't like a run he took at McMahon, felt some reason to defend a teammate, it's game 60. You're up 3. Momentum aside, you're supposed to be good enough to shut down the opposition. You're allowed to fight that guy. Like, this is not, I didn't have a huge problem with it. So I think you said something similar to that.
Yeah, for sure. That shouldn't derail focus. It shouldn't derail energy. It shouldn't derail your ability to maintain at least what you've accomplished up until this point.
Yeah, it wasn't like Kesselring beat the brakes off him and Utah was fired up and the crowd all.
Well, I did. I mean, I loved it, and I don't really have any. I'm on your side, but to play devil's advocate to it, that building was rocking. When they really started, and it was, the Leafs had taken them out of the game. Benoit had just scored the most classic butcher defense goal ever, where it's just like a flutter puck that maybe hit somebody
that they gave to Lorentz,
but then flipped it. Anyways, it's the classic horrible goal that a non-goal scoring defenseman scores. And then you're on the face-off. That clearly woke up the building. That Kesserling's got blood coming out of his ear, and he's going like this to his bench. That clearly woke them up a bit. And basically from that point on, they ran the Leafs for a solid 10, 15 minutes of that game. So I will hear the argument that it was unnecessary, but at the same time, you should be good enough to not let them score 3 goals in however many minutes.
Let's get Benoit's thoughts on the Superman punch clip 1.
think it's just on the moment. I feel I had an opening there, and I just took it.
Have you ever landed one of those before?
Yeah, I did it last year against, I think, Branson. He's a bit taller, though. It was harder.
I saw an opening. I couldn't go left. I couldn't go right. And I thought, what about vertical?
What about up?
What about a slam dunk?
So
The pitcher is an all-time when you're retired photo to hang in your house.
I watch all the press conferences every morning, and I watch Benoit, and I got to tell you, he'd be my best friend on the team, I'm guaranteed.
Yeah.
He's just got that aura about him where he's just a hilarious guy.
Yeah.
French guy, just really doesn't care about anything other than, winning, hitting guys, like a true, like heart and soul kind of guy. I love him.
Yeah, and
But-
he played hard last night.
Yep.
But he's up and down.
The good news for him was he was the Leafs' best defenseman. The
But the
bad
bad
news
news-
for the team was he was their best defenseman.
Absolutely. And good news for the Leafs, Pontus Holmberg might have been their best forward. Bad news for the Leafs, Pontus Holmberg might have been their best forward.
Okay.
Pontus Forsberg.
We need the thoughts of the Superman punch from one of the most penalized players in NHL history, head coach Craig Berube.
This year might be Simon Benoit with
Yeah.
the flying punch.
Something I never did. I'm taking notes. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I don't know if I ever seen that. Maybe years ago at some point somebody did it, but we actually got a great picture of it in the room. It's pretty cool.
What's funny is Craig Berube came through the front door.
Yeah, he's not doing a Superman punch.
Yeah.
I'm going there.
Craig Berube had, in the AHL, had years of 325 penalty minutes. He may not have seen the Superman punch, but he's seen some stuff.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I went on record last night saying that I believe that that move, that jump, I don't like it, especially with what we now know about cuts and skate blades and Achilles tendons or, tendons in general being cut. Like, it's a great, fantastic picture, but it's not too smart of us to be leaping.
Look
there's-
at that
There's
photo.
And-
GSP tweeting about it.
Oh,
right?
GSP.
Yeah.
It's not.
He telegraphed
It's not
too
the
much.
smartest thing in the world to be jumping with razor blades on your feet.
I got to tell you, what's a better photo? Bobby Orr flying through the air or that
Yeah.
one? Like, that's one of the
I'm-
greatest hockey pictures ever.
I'm of two minds of it. And one is the entertained hockey fan in me who's like, oh, don't ruin this. This is fun. Let them do it. And then there's
I'm being dad right
but
now.
the obvious truth is, of course you can't do that. Like, if he comes down on the top of his feet,
Ah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Ah.
you can't be jumping at a guy.
It was an accident.
You know, no,
it
you
was not an
jumped it.
accident.
Yeah. So-
You're coming at me 5 feet in the
Yeah.
air.
I hate
I don't
that
know,
you're,
and I
I
did-
hate that you're so right about
I
this.
know, because I totally want to be like, oh, can you not? But it's like,
I had
yeah,
a dad moment. I'm sorry.
you can't do that.
Just
Like, I couldn't
parents
believe that.
ruin everything.
I couldn't believe my spinning heel kick was ruled illegal.
Okay, back to the game. Where do you want to go?
OEL was really bad. They ended up getting pairs a little mixed and matched. OEL has Carconi get behind him,
Yeah.
and then another play he had someone else get behind him. And then Riley had a guy kind of standing beside him who he didn't really take. And I just thought they weren't hard enough on Ottawa's forwards. Or sorry, Utah's forwards.
Speed was an issue when Utah drove the intensity and the speed up. I think it magnified the things that you're talking about.
Any
And-
concern about their team speed? Because Utah
Yes.
looked faster than them.
Yeah, especially on the back end.
Mhm.
That I found them flat-footed. I found them not moving their feet to make a first pass, and I don't know what the final count was on turnovers, but I had, I think, as many as 8 going into the third period.
There's way more than that. I don't
Yeah.
like how they count that.
Well, no, I'm sorry. I had 15. I had about 15. Saturday, they may have had one of the worst games of the season for lack of offensive zone time.
Mhm.
And the giveaways were atrocious Saturday night as well. The
Yeah.
turnovers were bad. They spent a lot of time in their own zone. And I think it's an issue here that I got a kick now out of Oh, the great shot blocker, right? Like they've all got great shot blockers. All that tells me is that the puck's in the wrong end.
Yeah, you know who has 0 shot blocks? The guy who's in the offensive zone all the time. Yeah, Miguel McCarr hasn't got the same shin pads for the last 10 years.
And you're spending too much time defending.
Yeah.
That's been their biggest problem probably for a month now.
Well, I'll tell you this. Benoit and Myers can't be a pair. They can't break the puck out. Say what you will about Benoit last night. He was physical. He hit. He did lots of good things. They cannot break the puck out. They get it against the wall. They bang it off the glass. It gets out in the neutral zone. Back they come. So you need Tanev to make this all work, which is terrifying when you need one player this much. But that's such as life with the Leafs. And I think in a salary cap era, you need to be healthy. So the pairs really struggle as soon as you're missing one of those important guys.
Yeah, and like you got to start seeing signs of this blue line getting better quickly here. We're not even sure what's going on with Tanev.
Yeah, it's been murky.
It's been murky. And what really should have been in everybody's eyes start Saturday night against Colorado now is questionable for Thursday against Florida. And it's not going, what was the quote from Berube? It's not going as well as he had hoped. Like you're now under 20 games of the season, and your best and most reliable defenseman right now has a questionable injury.
Yeah.
Like it's not a good sign for a team that's thinking it's going to win the division and go deep in the playoffs right now.
No, but I mean, unless you think there's some threat he's not available in the playoffs or has...
we had the clip of the update from, I think it's from yesterday, that Berube said on Tanev, if we can play that there.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, Tanny, he's battling through this again. Like, he's going through practice. He's not where he wants to be. And, we got to be careful with this situation. It's unfortunate because we do miss him. He's a big part of our team, but at the same time, we want to do what's best for the player, and the player's got to do what's best for himself.
We haven't talked to you in a while.
Sorry.
Yeah, that
murky.
I didn't like that at all.
No, exactly. And JB, if we're talking about middle of November or middle of December, no problem at all.
Yeah.
We're talking now middle of March, and we're 5 weeks out of the first round here. What's going on?
Yeah.
This is a frustration all year with the injury stuff. But if you'll remember correctly, the day after this happened, we got some good news on this. We're surprisingly...
Not as bad as we thought.
Not as bad as we thought. Eerily similar to what they said about Anthony Stolarz when he had pebbles in his knee. So forgive me if I'm a little skeptical that it's okay.
Recently had a leak in my house, and they opened up the wall. They're like, "Hey, it's just a little hole or whatever." And then they get in the walls, and it's like, oh.
That's not
I don't know why that came to mind here with Tanev and Stolarz, but
we had day-to-day the captain, then he flew to Germany. And I haven't been exactly clear on what's going on here, boys.
Yeah.
So, again.
I don't envision a world right now of any playoff success without Tanev.
No. Absolutely.
No
if you were to power rank the most important Leafs for playoff success, goalie, but there's 2 goalies at least.
Yeah.
Matthews, Marner, pick your poison, whatever.
Tanev. Easy.
Yeah.
So
they're missing him.
So, they're off today, obviously traveling back. They'll probably be back on the ice tomorrow, get another update from Berube, I would imagine. But that was from yesterday, I think, on their off day. The practice yesterday. Anyways.
Yeah.
So the Leafs find themselves 2 points behind the Florida Panthers for the division lead. Same amount of games played. Big game on Thursday, needless to say. It's the division is getting very tight.
Is this the one where the team measuring stick games? We've had this conversation many times. There's only a few teams that can provide that out of 32. But the Leafs have gone through Vegas now, Colorado, and now Florida's coming up here. Like, they got to nail one with the A game that brings everybody back.
Well, let me ask you: did Kelly Yarncroc move the needle for you? Do you feel any better that he can help them?
I'm a little bit more of a fan than I have been in previous years.
Okay.
But he's not a game breaker. He's not a game changer. He's just one of those guys that can curve-foot it up a little bit.
He's I forgot about the Kerfoot comparison. But I call him Yarnfoot or
Yeah. But no, he's just good enough that the coach is like, he could go in the top 6.
Yeah.
But then once he gets there, nothing kind of happens.
he's an honest player.
Sure.
Works hard, skates well.
Skates fast.
If it comes in his wheelhouse, he can shoot it.
Yeah, he did last night.
But he's not going to create his own shot. He's
Yeah.
not going to intimidate anyone.
You might as well tell me he enjoys fishing in the off-season.
I bet he does.
Like it's just not enough right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, to move the needle. Let's have a thought on a Jan Krok from Craig
Very good.
Berube.
Clip 6.
Yeah, no, he had a good game, I thought. I know he scored a goal in the power play, but overall he did a lot of good things. I thought that really worked and skated. And, had a couple good chances 5-on-5, and that line was pretty good for me tonight. But he was solid all around, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Listen,
sounds like a.
Craig's a positive guy. He's
Mr. Positive.
He's saying the right things. I get it.
Do you want
I get
another
it.
one? Multiple Yarncroc.
This is
clips?
about him going to the top.
All right.
6.
Okay.
Just a little bit of chemistry with him and Willie, I think, and I like his defensive mindset on that line. We switched it up. I know I had Bobby there yesterday, but I wanted to go back to it. I knew they were going to be matched up against one of their top 2 lines tonight. They're talented players over there. So I wanted a guy that has some real good defensive awareness, and he did a good job.
Is Bobby bad defensively?
I don't think he's known for
Defense.
being a rock.
Right.
So,
Listen,
Kelly Yarncroc's
Jan Krok's a guy who can be really good as long as the other 2 guys are really good.
Yeah.
He's a lot better when the other 2 guys are really good.
Yeah.
Because he can play consistently.
You know what you're going to
smart,
get.
methodical game, responsible, both ends of the ice. But if he doesn't have line mates going, he can get lost like the rest of us.
Yeah. It's tough. We did some time last night, like kind of putting together lines with the perfect playoff lines or whatever. It gets really hard, unless you have Pacioretty. A healthy Pacioretty changes things because you have another guy who can be physical, can shoot it in, but you don't know if you have him. So then on the left wing with Tavares and Nylander is going to be McMahon or Yarncroc like that. And if it's McMahon, then your third line is like Lawton, Yarncroc, Domi. It's not a dangerous one. Like I like the idea of having McMahon on the third line so someone else could get you one.
He can shoot it in the net. Max gave him a great pass.
Yeah. Max played well last night.
Like the thought that that unit came out about a minute after a power play from the big boys, and they were able to put it in the net. I mean, you got to start somewhere, but I thought it was a good confidence booster for the guys involved in that goal.
For sure.
It all comes together because Joseph Woll plays pretty well. You like his game last night?
I think it was I think it was another example of somehow the goalies finding a way to earn you points.
Yeah. And also didn't hurt that they ripped 2 off the underside of the crossbar that stayed out of the net somehow. That helped.
Are you at all concerned?
No, I
about the
thought
goaltending?
he played well enough to help them secure a win, and in particular, in overtime, 2.5-minute shift for Bill.
Oh my God.
I know. Woll finally caught one and let him off the ice a little bit. I can't be critical enough of the way they changed in overtime. Like, there was a time when Matthews had the puck 40 seconds into a shift, and it's like, do what Utah did, change and let yourself get fresh guys out, trap their tired guys. Now I'm going to kind of try to extend this. Willie's dog tired. Minute 10 in. He's going to back check. Nobody. Just go to the bench. Let the fresh legs come on.
There was a look of Willie out there.
Yeah. He stopped.
Like he was the Statue of Liberty.
He literally, like, controller disengaged, was like, I'm just going to see if he actually had said somewhere along the way.
He was done. He was just.
But he said he was out
toast.
there so long, he started to think he could stay out there. Like he started to feel fresh again
Well,
because he
of
didn't
course-
move for
we
so
didn't
long.
move.
Yeah.
Of course. You sat there.
2.5 minutes, 1.5 going like this. I feel pretty good again.
I don't think I've ever seen a guy just stop.
No doubt in my mind, like had he a breakaway popped free at the end
He
of
was
that,
gone.
he'd have been
Like,
okay.
And that was it. You knew what was going in his mind.
Yeah.
On the chance you got a rebound, Joe, kick it out the middle, and I'm gone. Outside of that, you're on your own.
Yeah. I mean, they must have changed 3 times to the Leafs. You know, it is funny, but you have to change well in overtime. It's crucial. Great shootout winners. Off-speed pitch from Matthews.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of, going into the third period, I said between Marner and Matthews, not very good. Matthews, I'm not even sure was
Bad.
credited with a shot on goal after 40 minutes. If he did, it was 1.
Yeah.
So where are we? Like they found a way to contribute. We know that.
Yeah.
I thought Matthews came alive. Did you catch the hit, Sammy, on
Nailed
Sergachev?
I did, but I love our Sportsnet broadcast, but they didn't show it again. I was dying for a different replay of it because he came in and hammered him.
He may have hit him as hard as I've ever seen
Yes.
him hit a guy.
Yeah.
He hates Sergachev. That's old hate.
Well, please play him every night.
Agree.
Keep Sergachev on
Agreed.
the ice against
Please
him.
play him every night so we can see this where I thought you came alive when you hit Sergachev.
Yeah, it's
But
a good point.
Is that what it's going to take here?
I don't know. You know, I've said this a million times about these guys. Isn't it fascinating that they never seem to get angry? Like, because I was saying, Sam, if you and I played checkers 100 times, once or twice we'd get mad at each other
Yes.
about something. How do you never get mad? So it was nice to see Matthews get mad.
Mike Liut punched me on a flight because I overpegged in a cribbage game. Punched! Like, what is wrong with you?
But even last night, Nylander and was it Gunther or someone had like a little thing, and it was like, oh, did Willie just get
Mad?
Was he like a little upset there for a sec? It's crazy. It never happens in the sport of hockey.
Missing. It's missing.
It is missing. And so it was nice to see a bit of it.
From
More of
4 guys.
Yeah.
For the big boys. But we know how big and strong Austin is. He can do that.
Yeah.
He chooses not to most often.
Right. But that's, if you look up and down the Leafs lineup, big hockey team. Big. Like, you know, they're just not that mean. Their decor, OEL's very tall. Riley, 6'1", 220. You go through it. They're big. They're just not overly mean. Carlo's another one now.
Yeah.
Not overly mean. Myers, he did fight the one day, but he's not
No.
particularly nasty. Lorentz, by the way, giant, nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
Lady Bing candidate.
You know when a good time for another Austin hit like that would be?
I'm going to guess Florida.
Thursday night.
You know where he's not going to throw that hit?
Against Florida.
Florida?
Sam Bennett. Keep your head up. Hammer him.
That would be earth-shaking.
If there's ever a time to
Yeah.
really turn around, what's been going on lately, it's Thursday night.
You're going to have to get in those battles. You're going to have to engage in them, face them. The old expression, the only way out is through. You're not going to
Love
cute
that.
your way around him. You're going to have to play him.
Very
Straight
well
on.
said, my friend. Very well said.
Quickly before we go to break, I got to tell you, boys, I'm trying desperately to notice Lawton right now.
Yes.
Shaky 2-game start.
Yeah. And I said this, I think, on the show. I may have said, like, I watched him in Florida, too. Good player.
In
Philly.
yeah.
He's a good player. He's looking forward a little bit here, trying to find something.
The only thing that is kind of surfaced in the last little while is that he, and I think it's been noted by other people in the media too, that he's very critical of himself, right? To the point where I don't know yet. Is he one of those guys that's a little too hard on himself that tighten up a little bit more, or can he start relaxing?
But I will say, I like that he is someone who will get
he-
involved in scrums after the
Yes.
whistle. It's like
Yeah.
a Leaf guy who's
but
willing to go into them rather than
he-
get away from them.
Bad penalty.
Bad.
Like
Stupid.
stupid penalty.
Yeah.
But trying to ingratiate
Trying
himself.
too hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I said in the broadcast, it's a terrible analogy, but like the Clarkson jumping off the bench thing, where it's just like a guy who's from Toronto who wants to make an impact, looking to find a way, and it's like, God, just it'll come for you. You'll be
Carlo?
It'll come. I mean, outside of the one goal against where Tavares haven't missed communication, fine. Not good or bad for me.
Nah, not horrible. Not horrible. And then he's a minute muncher. And again, the better the team can play collectively back there, the better he's going to look for me.
Yeah.
He's at his best when you're not really thinking about him, right? Like the times where I'm not, I mean, you're watching a new guy, and I found myself even throughout some of the games, I'm like, oh, I'm not noticing him a ton. I think that's probably
his thing.
Yeah. Which is like you trade Fraser Mitten in a first-round pick. You wouldn't mind a snap breakout pass once in a while, but it's not necessarily his forte. Anyways.
Nope.
Okay, we'll take a quick break.
Let's do it.
And when we return, a good friend of the show, Jim Ralph, voice of Toronto Maple Leaf Radio, will join us after the break. You're watching and listening to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back to the program. All right, it's been a while since we've had Toronto Maple Leaf Radio color analyst Jim Ralph on the show. Are you avoiding us, Ralphie?
He's on.
I was on last week, Kyper.
Oh. Do you know I had a late game last night? Yeah, but he's younger than me. I hope.
I think all that's happening here is I'm also stupid today. That's it.
How are you?
Well, good, boys. Good.
All right. So many places we can go with you, Ralphie. Before we start on what we saw last night, or even against Colorado, what we can expect against Florida, just give us your overall thoughts on what the Leafs did at the trade deadline and where you see this team after the moves.
Well, I still think we're going to have to wait a couple. I think it's the same with all teams, Kyper and Borny, that you're going to have to give it a couple of weeks before you start to see how guys settle in and, what the direction is going. I think, obviously, the Leafs have to get back to the way they played during that stretch, early on under Craig Berube, where they were winning 3-1 and 4-2 games. They were handling leads well. And, they've gotten away from it. And you've really got to be careful, I know, in saying this. You can't tell this to people in L.A. or Vancouver or, the Calgary Flames were on the road for 2 weeks. But I think you look at this stretch, from before the Four Nations tournament to after, as being key for them is trying to, keep their heads above water, which they've been able to do. But I think you saw, the last few games, whether it's fatigue or whatever you want to call it, they've had to survive it more than anything. So it wasn't perfect. It certainly wasn't pretty, but hopefully there's going to be a reset now that things settle back in and you get Brandon Carlo and Scott Lawton used to the new surroundings, that they get back to what Craig Berube was preaching earlier. I mean, look at Florida's given up, one goal in their last 4 games? Mm-hmm. They're playoff ready, and the Leafs have got to find a year to get there.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It feels like Florida, like if you're doing tiers of teams that have a likely chance to win the Stanley Cup, it feels like Florida's deadline kind of pulled them out of it. Do you have the Leafs, like we've been saying on the show here today, they haven't really taken over any games. They don't really dominate anyone. So where do you have them on the tiers of teams who have a legitimate chance? How good are the Leafs? Do they have a good chance to win the Cup here?
I mean, obviously, I think there's a chance you get hot at the right moment.
Yeah.
And you know what? Chris Tanev's a big part of that as well. And, he's not a guy that plays 30 minutes a game like Cale Makar, but he's a guy that's important, whether it's on the penalty kill or just having him team with Jake McCabe, I think is a huge part. So he's probably an underrated loss, I think, during this stretch. Yeah. But I mean, he's a guy that you saw for the start of the season that you think is built for the postseason. A guy that is a battler, a lawyer that is going to do everything he can. And I think his play is contagious as well. When he's physical, everybody seems to be a little more physical. So, as far as rating their chances, even compared to previous years, I think you look at the roster and they're better. I think you look at certain stretches that they've had this year, they're better. But I could certainly see where, confidence has been shaken a little bit when you can't hold on to 2-goal leads against Pittsburgh or San Jose or even Colorado, that you've had trouble with that. So I think that's the concern right now is getting back to earlier in the year when people probably had them a lot higher as potential cup winners.
Yeah, and we did, Ralphie, for sure. And the style of play, the contributions, it really had people excited that this has a different feel of style of play that is more conducive to playoff hockey and success. So what did you see back then that you're not seeing now?
Giving up way more off the rush, and I think a couple of the goals last night against Utah off the rush. Colorado did the same thing to them. That gap between forward and defense is a little too massive. You see on a regular basis now defensemen looking up ice, and the 3 forwards have blown the zone, and they're either icing the puck or turning the puck over, and they're getting burned by it. And I know that's sort of a catchphrase that's become pretty common in hockey, but this gap control, I think, has been huge for them. And that's, instead of everybody coming out together and nobody leaving the zone early, they're getting stretched out on both sides of offense and defense. And I think that was, something that Craig Berube brought in right away, where he said, we've got to control that. We've got to be tough to play against and not give up the middle of the ice. So I think they can get back to that, but I just think that they've slowly slipped. And if this part of the season is their downside, we've still got to admit the record's pretty good while they're going through it.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. 6-3-1 in their last 10. The one thing that kind of I think should give fans some comfort is that Craig Berube does not seem remotely panicked by this team. And he has seen a team in St. Louis that was not the best team in the NHL that year. He's seen them go on, get hot, win a Stanley Cup. Do you think that his presence, his style of play should make people a little more comfortable about the fact that they're not this high-flying, possession, chance-generating team that they've been in the past?
Yeah, and I know we've talked about this before. When you look at when Paul Maurice went into Florida, remember the year before they'd won the President's Trophy, they were the highest scoring team in the NHL, and I think we're out in the second round. And the next year, they struggled to adapt to the way Paul Maurice wanted them to play. They were lucky to get into the playoffs because Pittsburgh lost to Chicago in the last day, and then go to the Stanley Cup Finals. And then the next year, they win the whole thing. So absolutely, I think that's attainable, and it's part of the learning curve. But yeah, you've got to be able to click into that at the right moment. And I'm not saying you're probably going to get Florida or Tampa in the first round anyway. Mm-hmm. So that's not something you can build up to when you're in the playoffs. You've got to be ready once you get there. And it's it would even, I don't know about you guys, it would scare me if you played Columbus in the first round. The way they've played. So that's unfortunately you don't get a chance to get better in the playoffs. You've got to arrive battle ready.
You're listening to Jim Ralph, Toronto Maple Leaf radio color analyst. As far as the goaltending is concerned, Ralphie, we know it's been at an extraordinary level. And what have you seen in the last few games out of Joseph Woll and Stolarz? Any concern at all there?
Yeah, I would say there's a dip, but I also think when we're talking about giving up chances off the rush and everything, that earlier in the year you really asked 2 or 3 big saves at key moments, and now that's probably gone to 6 or 7 in the course of a game. Even the game they came back and won in Boston, you win 5-4 in overtime, and Anthony Stolarz probably made 5 or 6 great saves in that. To keep them in at first, and then save them in overtime. So the onus on the goaltending has become more apparent in the last few weeks, and their numbers have suffered because of it. And Woll had his maybe one of his worst performances as a Leaf in the game against Vegas, and they weren't able to bail him out. They've been human, but I've always said that, you look at Sergei Bobrovsky in Florida, they talk about how he's reinvented his career and how he struggled for a stretch. And it's because every night they're giving him a chance to be great by only asking 3 or 4 great saves from him. I remember Ken Dryden's book. He talked about, and I don't think it's as prevalent now, but he talked about good team goalies and good bad team goalies. And he said good team goalies have to make 3 or 4 saves a game that are key, where good bad team goalies might make 7 or 8, but still give up 4 goals. And you could put a bad team goalie on a good team, and he's still giving up 3 or 4 goals because of his abilities. So I just think from a Leaf standpoint, give them a chance to be better as far as taking away the odd man rushes and the slot chances. I got the tying goal against Colorado. 2 defensemen get caught behind the goal line, and the guy's wide open in front to tie the game. Those weren't happening on a regular basis before the last couple of weeks.
So if this plan works, if this Maple Leafs team has success, that means we're going to get success from Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander, which has obviously not always happened. The one concern right now is Austin Matthews doesn't quite look like himself. Like he's on pace for, under 40 goals this season. Even if you take it to an 82 game prorated pace, do you see anything that concerns you, that gives you hope? What are your thoughts on where his game's at?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say that the dominant Austin Matthews we haven't seen a lot of this year, where he would take over the offensive zone. He'd shield the puck and he'd make plays. The quick release has been there, but maybe not as accurate or overpowering as before. And it's whether it's health related or whatever the case may be. And I don't know if it's a concern yet, because I think we saw time in the Four Nations, especially the final game. You're going, boy, that's the guy. Those were some of the moments that he had. So I almost think it's a blessing that we're not talking about him scoring 70 goals this year, that it's more team-oriented. And I know we brought up Steve Yzerman in the 90s. Scotty Bowman comes in the years, and, they won back-to-back cups. Yzerman, his goal totals were in the 20s, not
right.
the 50s and 60s. So I'm not saying it's the style of play or anything else. I still think that for them to have any success, he's got to be a key part of that. But I guess I have more a wait and see attitude, that if his moments come in the postseason, because I was a little sick and tired of talking about the chase for 70 goals when the final chapter of the story was the same.
Right.
Ralphie, got to ask you before we let you go, just in terms of the season with Mitch Marner, it was almost as if everybody checked the whole scenario at the beginning of the season to let's just see what happens in the playoffs. And then this past weekend, everything completely blew up here and escalated, with the report that he turned down a trade to Carolina. Are you surprised at where it got so quickly this past weekend?
Not really, but I'm going to go out and say the opposite of what a lot of people have said. I think this is an incredible opportunity for both. If Mitch Marner, regardless of what his number is, you go to the Stanley Cup Finals and win the Conn Smythe Trophy, I think everybody wins, whether you write your ticket in Toronto or somewhere else. I mean, I think this is fantastic. And if he wants to go into the playoffs saying, I'm going to show you, the Leafs are going to benefit from it. And, when you've looked at whether it's Rantanen moving from Colorado, Stamkos moving from Tampa, Marchessault moving, a year removed from the Conn Smythe Trophy from Vegas. Those things happen where organizations have to say, if we're not on the track to win, we're going to have to do something. And I'm not saying that it would be easy to lose somebody for nothing, as Vegas did with Marchessault, but Vegas is still a pretty important team in the league and a pretty good contender. So I think this is, to me, this scenario is actually perfect. That you've got a guy that wants to prove himself and prove his worth, and you get, hopefully it's not the last opportunity, but you got a great one coming up to do it. And the Leafs and all the Leaf fans could benefit from it.
Really interesting point. One last thought I have that I have to ask you after your brilliant analysis. Are you a bad analyst on a good show, or are you a good analyst on a bad show right now?
Well, considering the fact you couldn't remember that I was on last week, I'm going to say
Now, hold on. I want to clarify something. Was Kip maybe not on?
No, you were not.
I
It was
wasn't
with
on.
Gordo.
That's even worse. That's even worse.
Because I was like, damn, I don't remember.
Ralphie, always a pleasure, my friend.
Now, you didn't give me the bad analyst on a bad show option.
Thanks, Ralphie.
Jimmy Ralph, everybody. Radio color analyst. So we talked last night on the telecast.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody's in agreement that like just win, right? And that's really Ralphie's point, is that like even if he leaves with a conference final or a Stanley Cup final, I think people can feel good. And I said last night, there's always the chance
If
that
he leaves with a conference final or Stanley Cup?
if Mitch still chooses to leave, even with a conference final or a Stanley Cup final, it will still leave people feeling a lot better.
See, that's the opposite of what he just said.
No, what did he say?
Well, that
Everybody wins.
if he
you
has
go deep.
success, the Leafs have success.
Yes, that's right.
And then you've been saying if they have success, he'll probably stay.
That's still my opinion. But
Right.
if he doesn't, people will still feel better.
Oh, I don't know, boy. If he
Sammy told me just get the team to a conference final. He doesn't care.
I don't know. Is that what he said? If they
No.
win the Stanley Cup
No.
and Mitch Marner wins the Conn Smythe and then he leaves, I don't know if people
I think-
are loving it.
I think it's if he has the most success he's ever had as a Maple Leaf and then leaves, is the nightmare scenario. The one that the one that you can sleep at night is where the first round, everything happens the exact same as it's happened.
And
Everyone
he
just
"This
goes,
doesn't
everyone
work
just,
for both parties.
but like he goes deep.
This is against everything you've told me. You
No,
said
it's
just
not.
get to a Stanley Cup final, and I don't care. I wouldn't care. It would be.
Well, I mean,
That's what you've told me all these
Kipper,
years,
I wouldn't care about anything if they went to the Stanley Cup final and they won. I wouldn't care about anything.
including if he left.
If they won and he left, would not care for 1 second.
I think everybody would feel the same way.
But if they didn't win and they went deep, I would care. Because then it would be the first time that he's had success in the playoffs and he's carried them as
Okay.
deep as they've ever been. That's what I'm saying. If they won the cup,
So he wins the cup,
my
then he
God.
can go.
Oh my!
If
They
you-
can all go. They can fold the team. I don't
I
care.
think we're kind of close on the same page, but basically Ralphie said he goes deep, everybody wins. And
That's obviously true.
Yep.
And I do believe that if there's a month and a half where this guy's a hero and fans are waving their Leaf flags on their
Get the
lawns,
car flags out,
and
baby.
the
It's
car
car flag
flags
season.
and the horns and all of that, then people will have short memories
Definitely.
of what's gone on.
Kipper,
Let me tell you my new thoughts on this.
no, I got men in, I got
nothing else to say.
Men in Black sticked by an assist in overtime for Canada. Like it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much, man. I'm telling you. So can't wait
I
for the
got
game on
nothing new.
Thursday. Can't wait for the game on
We
Thursday.
get big game.
Stolarz?
Stolarz for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Former team. He had a shaky start the first game against them.
We're getting into earn the playoff net season.
For sure.
3 games against Florida, 1 against Tampa Bay in the next 18. Wow. Gonna be big.
Some good hockey coming up here.
Love it.
All right, our thanks to Jim Ralph for joining us as we slide into the national edition of our program. Steve Valiquette will join us. I'm sure we'll get into a little Stolarz and Wall conversation. You're going to want to stick around for that. More of Real Kyper and Bourne when we return. Welcome back to the program. It's our national hour where Sammy came this close to being fined
Capitals, why?
for not switching over.
Panic.
Panic. Wish we could show the people our wardrobe over there of jerseys.
Okay, like you went Washington Capitals.
I haven't had it up, I don't think, for a show. I hung it terribly.
Okay.
Ovi's, we got the great chase going on. Kip, pay attention. He just scored another empty netter. This is a big jersey
What is that, like
for us.
100 empty netters
He
he's had?
has so many this year. It's got to be a third of his goals.
He
He's shot it past a goalie a few times, though, to be fair,
Oh, yeah.
boys.
No, I'm not.
There's some people that have a problem with him breaking the record only on empty netters, but give the Washington Capitals credit for putting him in a position where they have to pull their goalie.
Yeah, they win all the time.
They win all the time. They're protecting leads. And
they put a bad defensive player out there in those spots because he can shoot.
In today's world where it doesn't matter whether you're up 1, 2, or 3 or 4 goals, you're still going to pull the goalie. Like, it's still weird to me to see a team just not quietly go away with, like, it's over. Like,
2 teams.
You scored an empty net goal. It's over.
Nope, not anymore. 2 teams in the NHL have a 700 winning percentage or higher. Washington and
Winnipeg.
There you go. Jetstock.
Our Jetstock. Really good still.
We are glad everybody's aboard for the next hour. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Steve Valiquette for his Tuesday contribution to our show. New York Ranger analyst for MSG, CEO Clear Sight Analytics. Always does a great job. Plenty to get into in terms of the goalies and what we saw out of Ullmark last night for the Ottawa Senators.
Awesome.
And it seemed like that was the type of role he was on prior to disappearing just before Four Nations tournament. Ottawa gets that out of him. It's a lock.
I said to Sammy before the show, they paid him what, $8 million this year, right?
I think he got the same contract as Swayman.
Yeah, so
8.25.
Yeah, so you got 8.25. He makes 50 save last night or whatever the number ends up being, and they win a game against someone competing for a playoffs. If they get in, by a point, if last night is the difference and it's on the back of Ullmark playing that well, he paid for himself. You know what I mean? Like, you can justify that for sure. He did enough to justify that contract. But didn't you say he's hurt?
Well, he wasn't at practice today. They called up that. What's the?
Oh, you're making this up.
No, that's real.
No, what's the Analainen or whatever? They called him up.
Crap,
Miralainen. They called him up. So I don't know. Maybe just a day off.
Kip thinks we're messing with him.
No,
that's real.
just Doctor Day Off, not seasonal.
He did take one of the pills at the end of the game, too. So he may just need to take a knee for a minute here.
Anyways, hopefully he's all right. Because
yes,
they, like you said, that team who weren't very good for most of that game, they got filled in by the Red Wings. Had a chance to watch a lot of it because the Leafs game didn't start till midnight. Right. But if they get that goaltending and that team with those forwards and they got some good young, like, they're not an easy out for anybody in the playoffs.
Guys,
good series.
No, you're right. By the way, the Red Wings are cooked. Yep. Coming up on the Red Wings plate is Carolina, Vegas, Washington, Vegas, Utah, Colorado.
So I got this DM to me yesterday, so I'm gonna totally throw my boy Troy under the bus if this is wrong. But he said he's a Red Wings guy, does photography for the team, and he texted me this and said that that the 3 seasons in a row with a 6+ game losing streak to end March, or to start March, ended the last 3 Februarys in a playoff spot just to blow it. So at the end of February, 3 straight years, 6+ game losing streaks.
They continue to just get not very good draft picks.
So, and if you're wrong on that,
they've been very unlucky.
If you're wrong on that, Troy,
not on you.
Not my fault.
And it does seem like Dylan Cousins has a nice feel.
What a start
as a behind Stützle and between Pinto.
Yeah,
right?
Danny shoots one in, and Brady's excited. The team wins, and the crowd's electric, and they cheer for him. Great start for Cousins.
Okay, it's also a great start to our show, having our next guest, Steve Valiquette, join us as we talk off the top Ottawa Senators and Ullmark. And I thought these guys were pulling my leg that he, I don't know, might have disappeared today at practice.
Oh.
Sammy, what, just a day off, right? Is that what they're calling it officially?
So. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard from him, but he was not on the ice.
Regardless, Valley, it seems like it's a no-brainer for the Ottawa Senators. If this guy can stay healthy and perform like he did last night, they will be in the playoffs.
Well, if we can count on that, I think this guy could go missing at any moment.
Apparently.
I'm not buying. I want to buy on Ottawa because I think they've played a great brand of hockey. They've defended well enough to be able to be in. That was the one thing that stood out with this club since the very beginning of the season. They've defended better than everybody that is beneath them in the standings. They should be there, but they haven't had the quality of consistency in net. And they've had big performances, but you know how it is, guys. You can't be a starting goalie in the NHL if you can't play a consistent brand, if you can't stay healthy, if you can't be counted on. I hope is that a Sammy Rumour, or did you just read that on Twitter? Because I mean, I can't take another one of these. This has been bothering me all year.
Yeah, he was not at practice today, and they called up Marilainen. So I don't know what. I mean, maybe they're just giving him a full day off. I don't know. Everybody's
We're
looking
looking
at
for
me.
your source, according to whom?
Julian McKenzie, who covers the team.
There it is.
Yeah.
Like that's where we're at too, which is starting to irk me a little bit, right? Like the Rangers have their biggest game of the season on Sunday against Columbus, and they don't play Shesterkin in a back-to-back because starting goalies just don't play back-to-backs now. It's ridiculous. Hank, you should see Henrik's record. He played 85 back-to-backs. The second game of his back-to-back, his career save percentage was .927.
Oh my God, is that real?
Yeah, like the guy,
He's a freak.
He would carry us into the playoffs first
amazing.
4 years that he was here, just carried us. And you know what that does for the room? You know it does. It does a lot. And so that one, I don't like it. And you've got to be there in the big games. I don't care if you're told you're not playing. Hank would have strangled the coach.
Yeah.
He would have gone Carlissimo on him if he wasn't starting that game. I've seen it. You know, I've been at this morning stretch, and Hank would give me the hairy eyeball.
How about this Rangers team in general this year? So they got 18 games left. They're currently 2 points out of a playoff spot. I got them with a pretty tough schedule remaining, more games away than home. I think they're only playing 4 non-playoff teams left, like 14 playoff teams. What do you make of their odds, Valley?
Well, I think I said a while ago 20%, and I'm still there. You know, I was wavering last week off the shutout against Nashville and the Islanders. And I was like, you know what? These guys, the reason why was because they were defending. Against Ottawa, they gave up 13 high danger chances. The night before, they gave up 13 high danger chances. Guys, it's simple math. They go in 1 every 3 times. You're giving them 4 goals right off the bat when you get up. And it doesn't, like, high danger chances, guys, they don't discriminate. Like, it doesn't matter what goalie's in the net. You've got to have a super hot night to outperform 13 grade A's. And that's the funny thing about it. It's like, I've said this to you guys before. It's bizarre, but when you look at the NHL, it's like NHL goalies, they just stop high dangers the same. Like everybody's
Crazy.
1 out of 3.
Yeah.
1 out of 3. And the big difference is, you know, I'm watching Anderson the other night, and did you guys see the end of his game? They're up 3-0. He gives up a bad goal from the dead angle, and then he passes it to a guy. It's like 3-2. And I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, that's the difference, because the guys that are going to push through and have a great playoff, they never allow the low danger. Like, they don't go in. And the mid danger, they perform over league average. So on mid danger chances, you perform over, you're at league average on the highs, and the lows never go in. And that's what you need from your goaltending. And you know, I just think it's bizarre to me that you don't see Shesterkin in the biggest game of the year. You know, I don't know. Stuff bothers me.
Tough loss to
Quickly, just before we some context on the Ulmark thing. They're playing in the second half of back-to-back tonight on the road, so potentially just leaving them at home after saving $50, maybe. That was got that DM to me from Andrew. So there you go.
But this does go with what Valley's saying about bubble wrapping everyone.
Yeah.
Just some context to the conversation.
Want to go to the game and watch? Come on. Anyway.
So does that leave Columbus wide
I
open?
would thing, and you want to be a part of it. You don't want to miss any moments. The room is running itself right now. If you're a good team, the room runs itself, and I'm hopeful that the teams that we see in the playoffs this year that are performing at the highest level are commensurate with that thought, so that it's still a little old school there, and we're not getting ahead of ourselves by bubble wrapping.
So
players.
you watch Columbus against the Rangers. Does that leave their spot open now for the taking?
Well, with the Rangers not being able to take it, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
is Columbus legit here?
Just
from
leave
here
it
on
open
in?
for Columbus. Yeah, geez, Kyper. It's been a season here. There were like 8 players in the lineup Sunday that weren't in the lineup for opening night. Like that's how much change there's been.
Mm-hmm.
And but when I see this team leave a little bit on the table and sacrifice for the team and not have so much risk, they can perform. They have plenty of offense. Their problem is not offense. Their problem is defense. And defense, to me, starts with caring to play defense. And I'm still not seeing it where the guys on this team are all in to get a win.
Looking around this Eastern Conference, the Leafs may very well end up in a 2-3 matchup with someone, could be Florida. Tell us about Bobrovsky, a guy who seems to have high ceiling, low floor, and tough to know what you're going to get at any given time.
Yeah, you know what, Borny? This is not something we talked about, but it's something that's on my radar, which is what does it take for an NHL goalie to go on a run, right? Because we've seen Bobrovsky do it twice, where he's, especially 2 years ago, where he had a very mediocre, below subpar season, and last year he really had one of his better regular seasons. So it was, a little more on brand with him having a good postseason. So what did he do last year that set him apart in the postseason? It goes back to your comment a few weeks ago, horses for courses, because if you know how to insulate your goalie against his weaknesses, then you can allow him to believe and have confidence in his own game to grow and play at a high level. Last year in the playoffs, Bobrovsky, he was 5 goals above league average on broken plays, screens, rebounds, everything around the net. He had a really good playoff. And I think a big part of that was because Florida, they changed the way they were playing, and they were the 32nd best team off the rush. So they didn't go off the rush and allow rush back against them. And that's funny to me because it was 2 years, or was it maybe 3 years earlier when they won the President's Trophy, they were the best rush team in the league. So they went from the best rush offense to the trade with Huberdeau, et cetera, Uyghur, and then they brought it back and they decided that they were not going to play off the rush any longer. But they were also relying on playing in their D zone because they loved their size with their D, and they shut it down in zone. They played dots down really strong and then insulated Bobrovsky with net front. So he goes out and he performs and he can see through screens, and he's the highest performing goalie in those conditions. And I go to Adin Hill the year before too. Adin Hill is a really good off the rush goalie when there's a lot of time and space taken away. And if you have a back check that works like Vegas did when they won, 16 breakaways faced, no goals, east to west in the playoffs, 21 east to west chances faced, just 4 goals. But it's not time and space. And there's a big difference there because, we've talked about this. The factors that go into what enhances a scoring chance, if you can play tight, if you can defend, and that's, again, the biggest difference I have here covering the Rangers. They are the worst defensive team in the league. And, it's like we've got Winnipeg tonight. So I'm pulling this one just as a comparable getting ready for the game. Slot area chances against with time and space. So slot area chances where guys have, and time and space, guys, it's a stick length of room where a player can't move left, right, or advance towards the goalie. When that's taken away, as Winnipeg does, you've got the best defensive team in the league that insulates for their goalie. But the bottom 5 teams that not doing that well this year, Pittsburgh, Anaheim, Rangers, Nashville, San Jose. And it's like, you know what it's like, guys. You live in that neighborhood, you've got no shot. And that's why 20% chance for the Rangers to make the playoffs, in my opinion, unless they, and I think you can do it. I think you can tighten it up if you're not cheating too much and you've got a strong F3 and everybody is checking with their legs and they've got good sticks and they're covering for one another.
You're watching and listening to Steve Valiquette, analyst for the New York Rangers, MSG, Clear Sight Analytics. One more in the East before we switch it to the West Conference here, and that is that we believe that the Leafs, if they can avoid Bobrovsky or Vasilevsky in the first round, they're going to catch up to them, which leaves Stolarz and Woll There seems to be a little bit of a dip in their play lately. Is it non-concerning only when you consider how high they set the bar throughout the regular season?
You know what, Kyper, I was really surprised. The scoring chances weren't that heavy in quality in favor of Colorado the other night when they beat up on Stolarz. 2 of his goals were low danger. And here's the thing, big goalies, right? It's neat that we're on camera because you can see my posture here, but tracking towards the puck to make a save so you can do it consistently, it's almost like imagining that my necktie here is driving towards the puck. And you saw Stolarz, he got beat over his chicken wing twice. And what he was doing was he was in neutral and he was just throwing it at it like this. And he wasn't getting any range up because he wasn't tracking towards the release. Now, what I saw in that game with him and in the 2 previous games as well, he's getting himself into trouble because he's getting wide before the shot. And when he gets wide, his shoulders come down and then he ends up playing in neutral and he's not tracking towards where the puck is being released from. So he's not bringing the center of it as gravity towards the release. And even a big goalie can play small that way. And you end up going down into your butterfly prematurely when you're moving side to side when you get too wide because you're on your inside edges of your skates. And the only thing you can do when the puck carrier is coming and approaching you is go down in the butterfly or try and slide across in the butterfly. You no longer can arrive on your feet. And Stolarz, for the first half of the season before his injury, and even when he first came back, I thought he was really strong with it, his feet under him, being able to beat the pass on his feet, holding his edges, being able to have a big body posture, and then tracking towards the release. But right now, he's not getting access to those pucks because he's getting too wide before the shot.
That's interesting stuff. Valley, looking at play, we're about a month from playoffs, 5 weeks from playoffs, and everyone's talking about 2 really loaded divisions where the Atlantic could be like Florida, Tampa Bay, or, could be Colorado, Dallas. But that leaves 2 other divisions with softer paths. And I wonder if there's a goalie in either the Metro or the Pacific. So I'm looking at Washington, Carolina, New Jersey. And the Pacific, you got LA, Edmonton. Is there a goalie that can take a team on a run that maybe we're not seeing, not thinking of?
I would say out east. When I look out east, who am I thinking about? I'm thinking, it was on the tip of my mind there. Out east. Repeat those teams again,
You got
Boy?
Carolina, New Jersey, Washington.
No. Washington, I was going to say Logan Thompson.
Okay.
Because he's still playing at a high level and he hasn't dropped. Like since January 1st, Logan Thompson is still in the league, like top 5, where a lot of guys have come down. Like Hellebuck's actually dropped to 13th and since January 1st. So since January 1st, the top goalies right now performing, and you'd like to say that looking forward, you can expect them to perform at a high level in the playoffs. It's Dustin Wolf's actually number 1 since January 1st. So if we were talking about some steam on trophies, if Celebrini wasn't killing it, I'd be looking at Wolf for the Calder. He should certainly be up for the Vezina. But Vasilevsky's there as well. So keep that in mind for the East. So Logan Thompson, Vasilevsky, but out West, Hellebuck's kind of taken a step back since about January the 1st. But I don't think that there's anybody that I would say that because when I watch Ottinger lately, he to me looks like his feet are off, and sometimes you can see it in the toe caps, especially with the camera view from behind the net. When you watch a replay, you can see their toe caps sometimes shift, and they're losing their squareness. Mackenzie Blackwood, even in the Leaf game, I thought he lost his net on the Marner goal. I thought he lost his net on one of the other goals where, he's on it, but then he takes an extra step. And we're talking about fraction of an inch because the puck, it's 3 inches in diameter. And if you take that extra step, you lose it. But Ottinger, if he and Blackwood were going to go head to head in a series, I think it's a coin flip. I don't feel like anybody has a real advantage there.
So Rantanen aside in Dallas and Brock Nelson aside in Colorado, it's the goalies that will decide, or if they're canceling each other out, it'll be this. Who has the edge now as we match them up?
Let me just say for Dallas, are we sure about a decor of Lyubushkin, Ceci, Bichelle, Dumba? Like, I know they have Harley and maybe Heiskanen comes back, but...
Oh, no, that's a big maybe. Heiskanen.
Is it? Oh, it's a massive maybe. Yeah, no kidding.
I thought he was going to be back.
No, it's questionable if he's going to be back for the first round. He may not make that first round.
Big round.
Big round.
Yes. Yes. Look, I think that if there's one thing I can lean on right now, it's that you need to have a D that is, if you're going to, like, I'd rather my team not play off the rush, honestly. I'd rather my team not play off the rush to risk bringing it back the other way. That's where I'm at with that. I want to defend. I want to allow them to and force them to dump it into my zone. We'll get back quick. We'll support. We'll move it out. And I think that if I have to defend in my own zone, I can sort much better. It's an easier save for my goalie. And I think that teams that are willing to pack it in and not risk things offensively to be able to not have that transition against them have the greatest level of, I think, certainty that I would probably at least bet with. I don't want to, I would try and encourage every team that is going to play in the playoffs this year, defense first. And I know that we've been saying that for 20 years. And it just, I've never seen offense beat defense, just the way it is. And that's about insulating the goalie.
And this is a very specific question that I gave you no heads up on, but the Leafs had Brandon Carlo. They haven't had, a guy who kind of fit their puzzle piece this year. Do you like the add of Carlo on the back end? Do the Leafs have a better decor than they've had in years past?
Oh, 10 times, 10 times. Like through the whole season, forget about what's happened in the last couple of weeks, but over the course of this season, this has been the easiest environment for the Toronto goalies over the era of Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander. It's been the best insulation. And there was 1 year, probably 3 years ago, maybe it was 3 years ago, that was close. But this is a defending team from at least structure-wise in front and big size with Carlo, tougher. Guy's been through it. Look, I think that sometimes these big D guys, they're more comfortable in the playoffs than the regular season. The regular season's too loose for them sometimes. So I think the tighter it gets, the more the rink shrinks. It's better for the goalies because they have cleaner reads, and better for the D because they typically have less distance to travel if everybody packs it in. But I do like the Leafs defending. I do.
Speaking of which, Wednesday night, key matchup on our network here at Sportsnet, Calgary and Vancouver. Where do you see this storyline going, especially in net? Clearly, Calgary a lot more, with Wolf there, comfortable. But where is Vancouver in your mind, holding on to the season and even the future of Demko?
Yeah, so Demko, I don't know how I'd feel if I saw my partner get 5-year contract at the dollar in term. It would make me feel a little uneasy about my future there. Demko's injury right now, it's a groin. And the thing about the groin injury, guys, is there are two different types of groin injuries. There's one where it's from a reach, but oftentimes when you're coming back from another injury or in training camp, it's actually a pull. Because every shot you take in practice, and oftentimes it's a lot, you break down during practice, and when you're in your butterfly, one leg comes up first and the other one gets sucked in. And to me, this would happen oftentimes in training camp just from not taking enough butterflies during the summer, but you're always sucking that leg up when you get back up to your feet, even if it's not urgency or it's required quickness. It's really just the idea of getting back up to your feet every time you go down. We had a clock on this back in our Ranger days, guys. We were doing about 300 butterflies every practice. So go down to your knees 300 times and then stand up and suck that right leg in. Yeah, you end up tearing your groin. And that was always my biggest concern starting a season, was my groin, just to get enough reps where it was going to, stretch and heal without a severe tear. Icing and getting into the cold tub. I've said this to you guys before. If a soft tissue, to me, it's not something that should be happening in 2025. Soft tissue, that's on the athlete from not taking care of themselves through hydration, rest, and recovery. So for Demko, hey, this is another hurdle for him in a season where, as of today, Vancouver's out. And the reason why Calgary's in is because of Dustin Wolf. Like, this guy, every one-on-one, I was just doing a breakaway project on him yesterday. He had 22 breakaways and 3 goals against since January 1st. Yeah. Because he gets these one-on-ones, and he's such a great skater that he can challenge and take away the shot. And every time he finishes on his one-on-ones, he finishes above his post. So his pad, try deking a goalie and elevating it on a goaltender when their pad is finishing in front of the post. You can't get vertical angle. So he's got great, look, he doesn't have great size, but this guy has said this since October. Best skater I've seen. Lot
easier to get up from a butterfly when you're 5'11" instead of 6, whatever you are, Valley.
Well, yeah, me, and what about Stolarz too, right?
Yeah.
What is he, 240? I'm at my all-time high right now. I thought that I could get away with having 3 to 4 IPAs while I was skiing all weekend, and I'm barely fitting in my suit. My ass looks like a welcoming mat from a golf course right now.
I was going to ask you, one of my peak resentments as a player was trying to get better as a shooter in practice. And goalies who won't go down, right? They're not trying but you guys are going down 300 times a practice. Like, I don't know what the solution for this is, but I hated that you could just kind of zip it on the ice and the goalie's like, I'm not going to try on that one.
No, yeah. So, a couple things, Barney. If you were a great shooter, you wouldn't have been on my stand-up list, but I certainly did have a stand-up list.
Good to know. Good to know you had a stand-up list. That hurts.
And most goalies do, okay?
Yeah.
So... And I think that this is the scary thing about being a backup, because I went long. My final exit meeting with the Rangers, it was like, thank you for your service. It's run its course. We didn't play you enough. It's on us. And I'm like, oh, great. That's the end of my NHL career.
That really helps.
Okay, bye.
Right?
Yeah.
But the issue was, if you are a backup goalie and you're playing 12 to even 20 games, but you're practicing every day, guess what you're trying to do? You're trying to impress your coach. I got Torts over there in a tracksuit that doesn't want to see any pucks get by me.
Yeah.
So if Borny's a low blocker shooter, all I'm thinking about is preparing as you get to 20 feet from me for a low blocker shot.
Yeah.
And it's a problem. Like, I said that to Callahan before. I said it to Dubinsky, and those guys would be like, yeah, well, Valley, guess what? In a game, I'm shooting there, so I've got to practice my shot.
Right.
That's my shot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's not great for me, because now I'm thinking about where you're shooting. And as I said earlier about tracking, guys, you've got to see the goalie really angle in to his save. If it's in neutral, the guy's useless. Like, a big goalie's small. And you're not really tracking off release and through release and rebound if you know where everybody's shooting. So that goes both ways, that conversation, Borny.
Did Valley cover enough Winnipeg for you to qualify for
Jets talk?
Jets talk?
We did Jets talk. Yes.
Well, I wanted to get into Jets talk if we still got time.
Yeah,
are we tight or how?
We can't.
Okay.
It's Winnipeg.
Long goodbyes. Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
We want to hear.
Hey,
give
is
us
it
some
a long
Winnipeg
goodbye?
love.
Are we done, Sammy?
No,
I heard
listen.
you chirping about long goodbyes.
Listen, I hate long goodbyes.
Give the Jets some love here.
All right, because I thought you guys, over the year listening to you guys, you don't talk about the Jets enough. I don't
That's
know why.
Sammy's fault. He's a producer.
He hates Winnipeg. He said it out
the
loud.
Leafs on this.
All right, so power play. I did a lot of work on this today, preparing for our show tonight, which was kind of neat because they've got the best setup in the NHL. Last year it was Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay with Stamkos and Kucherov, dot and dot, right? So they've got the best setup because they have 45 goals coming out of their setup on the power play on 207 chances, which is by far and away the best shooting percentage. Nobody's even close.
Yeah.
That's a plus 14 out of their setup. So really, if you want to beat the Winnipeg Jets, just don't let them set up. Honestly, they're not going to try you off the rush. Just don't let them set up, be very aggressive. And spent over an hour looking at this, and I was pretty fascinated with this guy, Gabe Vilardi, because he's the bumper guy, and he's obviously typically going to be there as the safety, a decoy, et cetera. But this guy's moving sticks. He's really good at moving sticks and moving bodies so that Scheifele and Connor can zip it dot to dot on their one-timers. And I thought that was really interesting. And Ehlers, he makes great goal line plays as a one-on-one guy. And the interesting thing about, it's really a pick your poison power play. Ehlers and Connor, over the last 4 years, they are two of the highest rated clear-sighted shot shooters. So walking in on the goalie and beating clean. So when you're up against their power play and they have clean looks, you really have to honor them. And in doing that and trying to get in lanes and block shots, you ultimately can give up the east to west pass. Scheifele is the 4th best passer in the NHL from below the goal line and dead angles this year. And that's why that's really helping all of their movement down low and across. So again, if they take away the east to west, they can get back to the point. Morrissey as a quarterback. Vilardi's not afraid to screen. Scheifele's not afraid to screen. To me, that is the best. Well, it is the best power play. It's the top ranked power play right now, but it's the best predictive going forward strong power play.
Fantastic stuff.
Process matches the results. That's great.
Yeah.
That's taking Jets talk to another level.
Jets talk.
We need this audio drop so I don't have to say it every
Great
time.
defensive team. Last thing on Hellebuck, the reason why this guy is number 1 for the Vezina again, it's the defense guys. They expected goals against a 5-on-5 first, off the rush 4th, against in the D zone 7th, dots down. They've got a great. This is Bourne. I remember you saying this 2 months ago. You could see the Winnipeg Jets winning the Stanley Cup. I can see this Stanley Cup going to Winnipeg.
Woo, buddy.
Fantastic way.
That's talking Jets.
To take Jets talk to another
That's
level.
for David Amber, too. Coming back to Canada with the cup, Amber.
Oh, God.
Valley, as always, bringing the heat. Thanks for doing this, pal.
Thanks so much,
Have a
Valley.
great night.
All right,
Calling
boys.
Jets, Rangers tonight.
Good stuff.
All right. Steve Valiquette.
Yeah, Jets talk, man. It's getting real.
Jets talk.
Is this a year a weird decor wins the cup? Or is it just going to end up being Vegas and we're like, oh, defense still really matters? Because I told you that Dallas lineup, like there's 4D where you're like, I don't know, CC, Labushkin, Bichelle, Dumba. Like it's not electric. The Jets have Shen and Fleury as a third pair, Pionk, Samberg, DeMello, Morrissey. Like it's not. It's good. It's good. He just said they're excellent, but it's not. What you think of as like,
would you consider
Florida's has been or Vegas' was. When Colorado won, it was unbelievable.
But it's not the sexiest, but it gets the job done because it's disciplined and it's consistent and they're standing in the right place and their sticks are in the right place and they're not cheating.
Okay.
And they're not losing positioning.
Or Devin Taves, Cale Makar, Ryan Lindgren, Josh Manson, Sam Girard, and Sam Alinsky, end up winning again.
Yeah.
A group where you're like, oh.
That's why we play the games.
Game time?
Correct.
It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app, latest odds, and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Good one on our network tonight. The Florida Panthers are in Boston to take on the Bruins. I guess it's, in theory, a good one. The Boston doesn't look quite as like they used to, and one of their captain now plays for the other team. And to be
Boston's
honest,
4 points out of playoffs. Never acts like they're, San Jose.
To be honest, boys, seeing Marchand skating around wearing the Panthers and taking line rushes with, who was it? Barkov and Verhaeghe. I was like, oh my God, this is the thing, eh?
But don't you like that it probably hurts the Bruins fans? It has to hurt.
Oh yeah, they'll be really hurt when they get to cheer for him beating the Leafs again.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyways, so that one on our network tonight. The Boston Bruins are big underdogs, plus 175. The Florida Panthers minus 210 at the TD Garden. And later on the network as well, Washington Capitals in Anaheim to take on the Ducks. And you may ask me why I am talking about this game. Well, first of all, it's on our network. And second of all, Alexander Ovechkin, the great chase.
He might get 8 tonight.
He is in single digits of the all-time goal record. 9 away.
It's heating up.
Do you remember the Ovech trick commercials?
No.
It was a triple hat trick. That was like a Ovech trick. That was like the gag.
I don't remember that.
He could get one of those to win the record.
So
it's real now.
Anyways, I got a feeling he's scoring tonight. Don't know what's going to be on a goalie. Don't know if you can bet on that or not. But it's plus 110 for Alexander Ovechkin. The best odds in the game to get a goal. They know if they're up, which they probably will be, Ducks suck. He's going to get out there. Plus 110 for an Alexander Ovechkin anytime goal tonight.
Well, there's also another way he might get it. He has 17 goals this season. How many empty netters? How many of them are empty netters?
17 goals. He's got more than 17 goals.
Does he?
I think he has 17 empty netters.
No. Ovechkin. All right. How many does he have this year? Whatever. How many empty netters do you think he has?
17 because you said it by
not
accident.
It's not 17.
No,
That's
no.
an
I want to say
insane thing to
6.
No, he has 8 empty net goals this season.
All right.
33 goals this year. That's right.
Yes.
17 assists.
Oh.
33 goals, 8 empty netters.
But
So
you just single-handedly put the record next year with his 17
Yeah,
goals.
that's true.
You
I
just
did.
shut everything down.
And I think if I'm just quickly pulling it up here, you can bet on him still not to get the record this year.
What are those odds?
So career goal. Yeah, I'm looking it up here. Alexander Ovechkin to score 895 goal, not to happen in the 24-25 regular season is plus 165. So
That's not good, is it?
No, it's not enough juice for me.
And then you go and look at the schedule and against Columbus, against New York, against Carolina. It's where it falls in the schedule. But if you don't think it's going to happen, you can still get plus money on that, and that might change tonight if he gets a couple goals. Anyways, that was Game Time. Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's ever ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
You know, that Capitals team, I think a lot of people, myself obviously included, have been skeptical of how good they really are, right?
I bought in months ago.
You did, eh?
I did. Yeah.
Well, the thing that they really have going for them, their path in that Metro is just way softer than some of these other paths. They're going to get Columbus or, Ottawa. Or,
I'm with a lot of. I think Jim Ralph in our first hour. I'm not even sure. Was it Valley moments ago? It's too hard to tell now that if you got a Columbus and they're coming in with some momentum, it's just not a given anymore.
it's not a given, Kip. You'd rather play them than Florida or Tampa.
I get it. I get it. I get that part. But there's ways of these type of teams now that can come in and get hot at the right time and find themselves in a conference final.
Well, and it's not just get hot at the right time. And this is kind of what I was asking Valley about. Let's say you're a team who doesn't think you're very good in the Metro. You're Carolina, you're New Jersey. The other teams are struggling too. Like New Jersey is decimated by injuries. But because no one's good behind them, they're going to finish in that 2-3 spot. Carolina could beat them with Stankoven, and all of a sudden, there's some weak teams.
Yeah. No, I definitely
paths
see.
for some teams to be like, oh, we actually did okay and didn't think we were that good.
Definitely see that.
It's there for you.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. Nice job, Sammy. And when we return, we'll get into a few news and notes, including
Dahlin.
Well, you just gave away.
Oh, you're trying. You said you need me to. You said you needed me to carry you today. You're tired. You weren't spitting it out.
All right, our good buddy here at Sportsnet shows up every once in a while. Paul Bissonnette kind of ticked off the Buffalo Sabres captain
with a truth bomb.
We'll get into that when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back to the program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. All right, so what did Biznasty say that's got the Buffalo Sabres up in arms?
Let's find out, Sammy.
I listened to the clip from his wildly popular Spit and Chitlets podcast, and he said that that Rasmus Dahlin had a face-to-face meeting with the general manager of the Buffalo Sabres, Kevin Adams, and I quote, "If you don't turn this around, I am gonzos."
Gonzos.
That's what Biz said.
I'm gonzos.
So and then he proceeded to sing at the end of it a song I'm blanking on right now, but hey, goodbye. Anyways.
Da-na-na-na.
Yeah, there it is. Thank you.
Da-na-na-na.
Yeah. Goodbye.
I think with two, you were terrible.
Okay. Like, do you really see now?
Okay. What's going on with you? Okay.
Rasmus Dahlin.
Is this the na-na-na-na?
Well, you can't sing there, Tom Petty. Let's go. Come on.
I'm smart enough to not try it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you really see Rasmus now marching into Kevin Adams' office and saying, "Do you know who I think I am right now? I'm Rasmus Dahlin, who's played less than 500 games and has 0 playoff games in his career.
Hey, Kip, not sure if you've been paying attention to the league, but guys get 10 schmil before that. Rasmus makes 11. He's the captain. Check out the Ottawa Senators and some of theirs guys.
If that was true, I couldn't kick him out of my office fast enough. If that's true.
What if he does it? They're dying.
I can't see it. I'm sorry. I'm not calling Biz's report inaccurate. I have no idea. I just can't see that.
This guy's got 51 points in 55 games this year. He had a 73-point season.
Never seen the light of day in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear from him?
Yes.
Because he responded to this. We have two separate clips, so we'll play the first one and then react, and then we'll play the second one. So go, if you play the first one for us, Austin, clip one.
There's a clip circulating on social media from the Spit and Chicklets podcast that said, if you guys don't figure this out soon, you want to be moved. Is that accurate?
Who?
Paul Bissonnette.
Who wants to be moved?
You.
I want to be moved?
You said you asked it. You told Adam so.
That I want to be gone from Buffalo?
No,
that's, I don't know what he's talking about. I've never said I want out of here. I'm not happy where we're at. I don't want to lose. We have to get better. But I've never said I want out of here. I thought that was pretty clear.
I don't know. He's.
Is that it?
What, did I want out? I mean, we're not very good.
What do you think, Sammy?
We need to be good.
Who's lying?
Let's play the second clip, and then we'll go on from there. Okay, clip 2, please.
I mean, we have to do a lot of stuff. But you know, it takes everyday work. You gotta do hard work every day, and you know, we had a really good discussion. We were very honest with each other. Stuff has to change. That's how it is, and I absolutely hate losing. That's not. I don't think that's a part of who I want to be. So, you know, stuff has to change.
So you would definitely say that podcast from Bissonnette is false.
I mean, I don't even. That bugs me actually. I get pissed off by that. I haven't even mentioned the word leave. So, yeah, that's just how it is.
So, I mean, you've said many times you're in this for the long haul.
That's good. You can cut it out of there. I never said I wanted to leave. I said I wanted to go.
I said Gonzo.
Hearing that clip,
there's no question there was a meeting. There's no question he's frustrated. There's no question he'd like to see some changes. I think that goes with any top player on any team, on any given conversation.
And captains have access to those people.
I totally believe Biz.
Oh, I mean,
Totally.
I do too. But I don't think, he says, we have to do this, we have to do that. He's stopping short of saying or else. If you remember, It's Always Sunny, the implication. The implication is there.
Yeah.
We have to. He didn't. I doubt he said it.
There's no question that.
But there's a lingering or else.
There's a world where Buffalo is very well acquainted with Jack Eichel, and those type of conversations, I'm sure, went on. And poof, he's in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So
they just did it literally not even a week ago with Cousins.
So
already scored for Ottawa, by the way.
There is a world where Biz knows where these conversations can happen here.
Yeah.
But I cannot see at this point of the season that I'm going to address that we need to make changes. That conversation, if you told me that conversation happened July, middle of July at the draft, I go, yeah, I could see that. But for him to do it now or a week ago or two weeks ago at this point of the season, that's
over.
It's not a in-season conversation you're going to have about your future. To me, I don't buy it. That's all.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, you acknowledge that they had a conversation, whether he directly said it or not. I think
the implication.
They're on notice that he wants to be a winner.
It's funny. I was thinking like, oh my God, Bill Simmons used to do this column called the trade value list.
Yeah.
He still does it a little bit in the NBA. And I was thinking to myself, oh, where would Rasmus Dahlin be in that. Like, it feels like he'd be really high.
24 captain, point per game,
But
D-man.
he already makes $11 million.
I know.
That is a huge contract for a defenseman. Like, you think of all the premier. Is he the highest paid defenseman in the league? Like,
He's up there.
Like, think of all the
Yes.
premier guys. Like, McCarr doesn't make close to that.
Carlson might make
No,
more.
or Doughty makes a ton.
11.
Too, does he?
11.
It's just.
Yep.
That's a big ticket.
As a reminder, this hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365. Speaking of those Sabres, big win against the Edmonton Oilers.
Yes. By the way, the Sabres decor makes $32.5 million. I wonder if any other decor makes that.
32.
Yeah.
What place are they in?
32nd. 32 for 32.
What's
No,
going
I don't know.
on?
Sorry. Yes, they beat the Oilers.
Oilers still got some concerns.
Yeah. Yeah, I was reading a little bit.
Skinner didn't look good on the first goal, I believe.
Yeah.
He doesn't look very good for him.
Yeah.
Tough one on Bouchard there at the
Yeah.
end. Thompson makes a great play. Skinner's not to blame for that one. But, this Oilers roster has a couple of holes. They have the highest of highs, and they have some soft spots. It kind of depends what matchups they draw.
Wallman, I think, has kind of looked good. And from what I've seen, he can skate. He handles the puck. He can make a great pass, heads-up passes. Like, there is some value there. It should settle in nicely here.
Can I ask you, because I'm starting to get the feeling here that the switch, I feel like they can flip it.
Yeah, I do too.
really,
absolutely.
I really do think that there's a bit of a malaise here, and there's enough that we've seen them have success in the playoffs. They've gone deep enough. They went last year, the 7th, but even before that, they're winning rounds. I just feel like it's a natural progression for a team that's in a bit of a rut before they know what's about to come.
Mm-hmm.
They know probably who they're going to play in the first round. I do think there's a bit of a malaise, and I do think that they're going to flip the switch.
LA.
I do.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, they'll just get their first round bye like every year.
Yeah, the Kings got to be like, come on. Come on.
Oh, it's coming again.
But it was Brownie who came on with us, Rob Brown, who we love from Edmonton, and said the one year that Edmonton finally got Dallas in those years, and they played every single year. Like, it may happen eventually, but I think they're going to flip the switch and they're going to be dominant again in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I
they
really
got
do.
that high-end offense, and I don't mind Kulak, Bouchard, Nurse Wallman.
Wallman's a
Spector,
good
Emerson.
pickup.
Emerson's been great.
Yeah, and Ekholm's been banged up, so I do have confidence in them to flip it. So there. Some positive Oilers talk.
Oilers talk.
Canucks talk. Can we do positive Canucks talk?
Quinn Hughes coming back soon, possibly.
Maybe.
He's progressing, and he could surprise us any time when he's ready to go. I'm not saying he's going to be in the lineup tomorrow. It's coming. I just don't know when.
We know what it is. It's oblique
injury.
Those are fun.
You need the summer to get that thing right back to
injured
healed.
Feb 22nd, hurt again against Seattle on March 1st, and he's missed last 3 games. Oblique is one that I think it's okay.
No. It's just
that's
I
one.
had it. I had it. It shut me down.
Here's what I'll say. This is a cross-sport reference, which our listeners always love. Brett Laurie always used to get obliques for the Jays.
Yeah.
And he'd be like in spring training oblique, and then you'd see him in like July.
Yeah.
So they take time.
It shut down my chance at a 20-goal, 325 penalty minute season. I only would have been a handful of guys that have
20
ever
and
done
300 is crazy.
I know.
Stupid oblique.
Pull. Got me. All right. Just like that, 2 hours gone. And we've solved nothing. Not a thing. Our thanks to Jim Ralph in the first hour. And then Steve Valiquette at the top of the hour. Enjoy your games tonight. If you get a chance, give us a rating and review. Follow us on YouTube. We're back tomorrow. Real Kyper and Bourne.